Hi, this is Pete with another video in my series of 30 plus that I'm doing to promote this album, Silhouette, Dafni's songs performed by her friends. Today's video is about the instrumental tune Popcorn, performed by Peter Kavanaugh, Mark San Filippo and Geoff Rakness. It is a tune that is dear to my heart. But first, I am recording this, going to give my recollection of how Dafni met her backing band. It seems appropriate that finally one of these videos, my introduction corresponds with the actual, with the artists in the song. I'm over the road from In Sushi, this Japanese restaurant, which is about a block and a half from our apartment, which is over that way, close to the band shell, a little bit further that way. And Dafni and I used to come here, I would say we came here twice a week for probably, I don't know how long, 7 or 8 years. They used to have a happy hour on Thursdays in the evening, maybe 9 to 11, and then they had a happy hour on Fridays, like 5 to 7 or something. So we would come generally both of those days and enjoy a cheap pitcher of beer and some certain lower priced items on the menu. One of our favorite places to come and hang out. It has nothing to do with Dafni's music career, except for one feature, and that is that when Dafni was looking for a bassist to replace Miguel Sawaya to play on at the Bruco for the Drifting in Circles CD release show, he suggested Geoff Rakness, and I guess, I don't exactly know why, but we agreed to meet Geoff here for happy hour, maybe on a Sunday, maybe like, you know, with 1 week to go before the CD release show, something like that, probably, so Dafni could give him a copy of the album, and maybe the Red album as well, so he could listen to the songs and learn them for the show, which he did, and he played very well at that show. Otherwise, this venue has nothing to do with Dafni's music career, but I thought, it will fit with this video related to the song Popcorn. While I'm here, I should also discuss how the other members of the band became Dafni's backing band. When, after the CD release show for the Drifting in Circles at the Bruco, Alejandro was Dafni's drummer, and there was going to be a second CD release show. I think Dafni was playing at the West LA Farmers Market at the band shell over there, and Dennis Sullivan perhaps was saying, oh, why don't you do the CD release party here at the farmers market? So Dafni kind of felt, oh, okay, we'll have 2 CD release shows. One at the Bruco, which would be like the nighttime, have a beer, go to see a band at night, release show, and then have another one Sunday morning, buy your groceries at the farmers market, listen to the band, different audience, kind of release show. For that one, I remember Tom Terrell came and played trumpet, and I believe, this is how I remember it, the Richard Glazer Band was going to be playing. Richard Glazer Band is a jazz trio. Richard Glazer, a phenomenal pianist. Mark San Filippo, I think, was on drums at the time, and yeah, I think he was, yeah. And Geoff had just replaced Miguel, so they were going to be playing, and Dafni just felt, because the gig is just, you know, playing for free at the market, and nobody really comes, and it's a bit of a hassle for Alejandra to come all this way because she didn't have a car and we didn't have a car. She'd have to get a taxi and bring her drums. It'll be a hassle. That Dafni just thought it'd be easier. We'll just have Mark from the Richard Glazer Band sit in and just, you know, play without a rehearsal. Just he could come and play. I think Alejandra was very annoyed that Dafni was considering a different drummer for the band. And on top of the annoyance with some of the way the album came out, particularly how the song Dance had been remixed, I think she just told Dafni she didn't want to play with Dafni anymore. And Dafni tried to plead with her, left messages on her phone and emails, but that was it. It was over. I think, as it turned out, on that day, Richard Glazer Band didn't play, so there was no drummer in the end. But Dafni got Mark through Geoff being bandmates in the Richard Glazer band, Dafni got Mark to come and play with her through Geoff, and he became Dafni's drummer till the end. Plays on this record, played on the posthumous album, and became Dafni's regular drummer. She had other drummers along the way if Mark couldn't make it. Joey Stafford from Bucksworth, Kevin Jarvis from Ben Vaughan's band, and several others. I'm sorry if I've forgotten any names. Let's see. Peter Kavanaugh, the guitarist in Dafni's band, who plays as the backing band guitarist on this album. He joined Dafni's band. Well, let me go back a little bit. Before, when I said at the Cinema Bar that Will Forbes and Edie Murphy joined Dafni's band, Will Forbes was still is a fantastic guitarist and an excellent songwriter. He was playing banjo in Dafni's band when Josh Bandur was playing accordion and lead guitar. And then one time, I think maybe when they were recording Charlie's Only Sunday, the follow-up album to the Bruco released album, Drifting in Circles, we just had Will play the guitar solo on one of the songs once, and I think ever since that he just became the lead guitarist. I mean, I don't know slight on Josh's talents, but Will is a more natural guitar player, and he was playing guitar with Dafni. I think Josh at that point might have, after they recorded the Charlie's Only Sunday album, I think Josh moved to San Francisco at some point, and then Will Forbes was Dafni's guitarist for a while. It's hard for me to remember like how long people were in the band for, because it's just a lot of shows in that area from about 2005 to 2010. Was a very busy period, and it began with kind of the band that recorded Drifting in Circles, and it ended with Peter Kavanaugh and Geoff and Mark as the core of the band. Will at one point in that period, after the Charlie's Only Sunday album, which was 2007, but before the Sweet Time album, 2010, Will got carpal tunnel syndrome in his arm and couldn't play the guitar for a while. So Peter Kavanaugh subbed in for Will for some shows, and Peter is a completely different kind of guitarist from Will. Very adept at all kinds of music, and particularly things like jazz and country and those kind of things. Will is a great guitarist too, but Peter is a little bit more of a kind of a natural sideman, I think. Will is a songwriter himself, so Peter fit in the band. It was a very good replacement, and he kind of boosted their sound, boosted them up. Now Dafni had a very good backing band, those three guys. Geoff and Mark, who are like jazz musicians. Peter Kavanaugh, who's like a very adept sideman, very talented in all kinds of different styles of guitar, and Dafni, like to write in all different kinds of styles. So it was a good fit. And then they were the core band that recorded the album Sweet Time, produced by Dan Janisch, recorded by Dennis Moody, and that was released in 2010. This tune, I think I've said everything. This tune, Popcorn, is one that doesn't appear on any of Dafni's albums. I just had it as a demo, and I really like this tune. I always wanted Dafni to play it. In fact, I wanted her to record an album of instrumentals and include it in that, but it never came to be. I don't think she was enthusiastic about it as I was. It's just a lovely little piece of music that Dafni wrote one day, recorded it, and it's stuck in my head since then. I could sing it for years after, and I was always like trying to why don't you do something, tell Dafni, you know, why don't you do something with that song, you know, ba ba da ba 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 ba. I always thought it would sound fantastic as arranged as a kind of a big band, with a big band kind of Glenn Miller orchestra kind of sound, with the horns and horn section, and cause it just sounds like ba 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 ba. Sounds like, to me, it sounds like, you know, horns and trombones and all that kind of stuff. I just wanted, when we did this tribute album, I just wanted Dafni's backing band to have a piece that they could do of their own, and there was this instrumental, and I suggested to them and they agreed to play it. I'm very happy, and as it turned out, it doesn't sound like a Glenn Miller orchestra at all. It sounds to me like song from the 70s, instrumental music from the 70s, with maybe a bit of the Allman Brothers and some kind of theme song from a TV show like Hawaii Five-0. That's what I hear when I hear this version. It came together completely in the studio. The guys hadn't recorded it, hadn't rehearsed it, and they, I think Peter Kavanaugh had, learned the chords and the melody, and I don't think the other guys had maybe not even listened to it till they got to the studio, and it just came together in an hour. We did it on the same day that we recorded Grant Langston's song, and it just came together so easily, and it just sounded wonderful. And they did several takes of it, and the song just came together. It came from nothing to, from this little demo to Dafni's little demo to this finished piece in about an hour, and it was just one of the most wonderful moments for me during the recording of this record, was this little instrumental that I love so much finally getting an outlet and sounding so good. Pete plays the melody great, bass sounds fantastic, Mark plays fantastic drums. I remember him overdubbing tambourine at the end and getting almost exhausting himself at the pace of it towards the end, and it was just wonderful. We recorded it, Alfonso recorded it at Kevin Jarvis's studio, and I think it sounds fantastic. This video, I recorded interviews with Geoff and Mark. I'm guessing I recorded it before we actually recorded this song, because we don't talk about this tune at all. Then I interviewed Peter Kavanaugh later on, and we do talk a bit about this tune. I'm also including in this video an interview I did with Josh Bandur, who was Dafni's accordionist and lead guitarist from the Drifting in Circles days till and the Charlie's Lonely Sunday days, and then he left thereafter, and he came down from San Francisco especially to perform on this record, and he's on a couple of the songs. Let's Pretend, Funky Jen's song Let's Pretend, you might remember he appears briefly in that video, and he's also plays on Dimes, Ruth Ann Friedman's version, which is still to come. So this, although this video is technically about the song Popcorn, it's actually, the interviews are more about Dafni's band, and I think I'm just going to include Josh in here too, even though he's not on this particular song. But as a video where I interview all the members of the band. So Geoff Rakness and Mark San Filippo, I interviewed Kevin's studio, I interviewed Peter Kavanaugh at the farmers market, and also interviewed Josh Bandur at Kevin's studio on the day when they recorded Dimes and I always want to say Lonely Sunday, Let's Pretend. I always confuse Lonely Sunday and Let's Pretend are two songs that I always confuse. So this video, the interviews in this video are specifically more about Dafni and the band, less about the tune Popcorn, and including Josh Bandur in here too, even though he doesn't play on the tune Popcorn. But I just feel the video is more about the band, and because Geoff and Mark don't talk about the song, I think it's a good spot to fit his little interview in as well. Okay, I hope that hasn't confused everybody. One other thing I want to mention is the title of this tune is Popcorn, but I have there's no reason why this is called Popcorn. I just think one day Dafni recorded it. When we recorded her little demo, it was just like, oh, what should we call this file? I think she wanted to send it off. Maybe she should have sent it off to someone for some ideas, lyrical ideas. But so it's just like, oh, what should we call it? And it's like, oh, I don't know, Popcorn. I don't know. That's what she just decided. So that's why it's called Popcorn. I don't know why, but it's a perfectly good title. Anyway, hope you enjoy this video, and I'll see you in the next one.
I think it might have been when the Red album came out that I went to an album release party when she was doing that, and that may have been the first time that I met her. And I remembered liking the music, and I didn't realize I'd end up being part of it. I think she was probably talking to my sister, saying that she was thinking of putting some accordion on one of her songs, and my sister mentioned that I played the accordion, and so started playing together. Well, so I started when it was still keyboard player Craig,
yeah,
and
Alejandra.
Yep.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, and I used to play guitar on some of the songs, and so I would be carrying around an amp and an accordion and a guitar case. I don't recommend that. So for the next album, I switched all to just accordion.
First time I met Dafni, it was to play bass for her record release for Drifting in Circles. So I got referred out through Miguel Suaya, and so kind of through Miguel and through Dennis Sullivan, and so she called me to play her party and you know, Westwood Bruco. Right. So the first time I met Dafni, yeah, so it was great. So you know, we got, I think we did a rehearsal before, and she's like, oh, could you pick me up and take me to the rehearsal? And I'm like, sure, where we going? She's like, oh, you drive? I'm like, I didn't say that directly, but she's like, no, I don't drive. And I'm like, it'd be great if you could take me. I'm like, all right, sure, let's do it. So we rehearsed at Alejandra's place, drummer on the record, and so it was fun. I think it was a good, you know, we kind of did that, and then that was the first of many other occasions. Little did I know. That was probably about October, November of 2005, I think.
Probably around 2005. I think
2005.
when that record came out.
Yeah.
And then you were in the band.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then
forever.
Then I was in the band. I was kind of before I was just kind of linked to come through, and then Alejandra. It didn't work out with Alejandra or who's the keyboardist? Craig. That was an interesting dynamic, I think. But with Craig and Alejandra, and you know, more so, I guess, just maybe, you know, certain personalities that wanted to kind of do pulling with their music, I guess, what they wanted to do. But so then it was kind of like you know, after that it was, well, you know, do you know a drummer? And so like, yeah, I'm gonna call my friend Mark, you know. And so then it was us, Mark, you know, myself and Josh, and that was kind of like the first kind of quartet. And it was always, I think, it was cool playing her songs, and that it was very unique. You know, you had an accordion upright bass and drums. You don't always have that with a singer-songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
But that was probably the first quartet, and all the gigs were $25 at the cinema bar. All the rehearsals were with pizza from Pizza Etc. and that was probably in the days where we had more free time, or we kind of like we would do a rehearsal, or we would do a couple of gigs, you know, maybe 3 gigs a month, or it seemed like that. It seemed like it was quite frequent.
And I was a student at UCLA, and they used to have this really great farmers market, and they had a live jazz band at the market. Dennis Sullivan was the guy that was running the music. They even had a little upright piano that they would bring out. And I was just a spectator. I wasn't playing. I was playing in school, but I used to just come down to the farmers market because I really liked the band and pick up some blueberries and strawberries.
Mm-hmm.
But Phil Small was the piano player, and really great bass player as well. Curtis Robertson, incredible guys. Like, these guys were some of the best guys. So it was just interesting to me that they played there. Dafni was also a lover of jazz music, as you know. So she was hanging out there, checking out the jazz band. And then I think I sat in maybe one time or something. And eventually I started playing there with Richard Glazer. It was Richard Glazer jazz band, and Dafni would come around a lot. And then Dennis sort of introduced us and made the connection, and we all started playing together after that. Yeah.
Did she ever sit in with you in those days?
I think she was just hanging out at that time, but
I don't think she ever saw
yeah,
me.
I think we were all just kind of hanging out and playing as much as we could, but nothing like, we didn't have any gigs or anything. But I think we just had a mutual understanding that, you know, we were kind of like jazz people that liked music. And then we found out she was a songwriter, and she had already recorded an album, I think by that point, maybe.
Two albums by then, yeah.
So she had already had a couple of albums under her belt before we even met. But that was how it started. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And then I think we saw you at the West LA when the West LA Farmers Market opened.
Yes.
And you guys, and then she started playing there, and you played, and maybe
that was also
played
Dennis
the
Sullivan.
same
Dennis Sullivan
shows,
production. You know,
Mhm.
Dennis Sullivan, who was very influential also in the Lamert Park jazz scene, because he was sort of like Billy Higgins' like personal manager in a way. I don't know what their relationship was technically, if he probably didn't have a title or whatever, but he would help Billy, and also produced Black Note, really great young jazz players in the late 90s, I think it was, with Willie Jones III on drums and Ark Sano on piano. Really, Black Note was the name of the band. Dennis was a big part of that, and then bringing live music into the band show there in West LA. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how did you end up playing in Dafni's band?
I think maybe, gosh, you know what? Miguel Sawaya was actually the bass player.
Yeah, that's right.
It was Miguel. It wasn't Geoff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was playing with Miguel on some jazz gigs, and I think Miguel maybe first started playing with Dafni, because Dafni already had a band with a drummer and everything. So I wasn't involved. And then I think she needed a new bass player, and she got Miguel. But then, if I remember correctly, Miguel couldn't do it. He couldn't continue for whatever reason. Now we know why, because he was on a whole different journey in life, which took him to Nepal, and he's been there studying Buddhism for now many, many, many years. He doesn't even live in the United States anymore, but at the time he was playing jazz bass. So then I think Geoff started playing, right? And then Geoff brought me in, like many projects that I get involved with. It's always Geoff. Like, I'm just trying to play jazz, you know what I mean? And then Geoff gets involved in these bands that are jazz-y, but not jazz. And it's good music, so I'm like, let's try it, you know? And then Dafni was such a sweetheart and such a great songwriter that, you know, I just fell in love with her as a person and her songs that she wrote. And we had some really good times playing with Geoff, myself, Dafni, I guess Josh at the time, Will came in, and Peter Kavanaugh later, and special guests from time to time. But Cinema Bar, all those great nights, and I don't know, some other places. Pop Champagne in Pasadena.
Yes, I met Dafni through Will Forbes. Will was playing with her as her main guitarist at the time, And I've been playing with Will, and I came to a couple of shows, and I liked her music, and I liked her whole vibe and everything. And so I kind of met her through there. And a couple of times Will wasn't available, he had something else going on, so I filled in for him. And then eventually he moved away, and I wound up taking over the spot and sort of being the go-to guitarist for a while. Yeah.
Do you guys want to give it a roll? All right. Do you want me to roll the clip?
You know, her songs were amazing. I think she always had a quality about her that was always her. She was it was always her in rehearsals. It was always her playing. It wasn't really her being anybody else. That's what we always appreciated about her, and just a sweet person. There wasn't anything pretentious or trying to be somebody else, and that was kind of like what attracted us to hang out with her and make music with her. I think she probably didn't give herself enough credit as she should have. Maybe that was part of her her personality, I guess. I mean, but she always was confident, I think, in her songs. I think she liked them. She felt like they were at maybe a certain level. So that was always there for her. But I think for her guitar playing was very in the pocket. It kind of represented her. I think what was also good too was that she listened to the group, and sometimes when you're playing as a singer-songwriter, you're just playing it's just you and the guitar, so you can kind of play with the rhythm, or you can play with that. But I think Dafni really wanted to bring that quality, so when she played with a group, she could fit right into the group, and also when she played solo, she could play solo too. And I think that's something that it's a mark of a really good musician, and someone that really listens to the group as well. So ultimately, I think that perhaps she didn't give enough. She was always kind of not putting down her play, but she was always like, oh, I should do this or I should do this. But she always put in the time to practice. She always made it. Was always kind of treated as like an art, but also an art that requires time. She always practiced before playing a show, or practiced before this, or was always really dedicated toward that. So I think that came out into her playing and her songs as well. So.
I mean, I think her body of work speaks for itself. You know, they're very solid songs, and they take on an extra depth now that she's gone. I mean, they really, it was almost prophetic in a way. You know, when you're playing it, you're just kind of enjoying the moment, trying to stay in the moment. And then when you lose somebody so young, and it's such a tragic loss, you listen back to those recordings or some of the videos that we would make together, it's like now it takes on a whole different shape and meaning. And the fact that she was also the center of this sort of songwriter scene in Los Angeles, and you can see how influential she was as a member of that community, because it was a very tight-knit community. And I think she was a key member, sort of people would gather at your house, you and Dafni, and you guys were just so open to sort of that camaraderie that scene has, which is different from other music scenes. Very different than other parts of the music scene that I've seen in Los Angeles in particular. Like, a lot of songwriters like to collaborate, and everybody would do shows together. But it wasn't just always about the music. It was about, you know, the hang and the inclusiveness of people that were interested in that music, which I think what this album is all about, is to tribute all these songwriters that have now come together, and each person learned one or two songs, and it's sort of like that just goes to show, like, how often would that ever happen? Probably, you know, very few, you know, never really would so many people want to come and record somebody else's songs. There's so many singer-songwriters that are on this album, so it's been cool.
I thought she had so much going on. I really did. I was feeling out of the whole sort of gaggle of musicians that you were circulating with, that she really had the potential to go beyond and, you know, be a national artist, touring artist. I always wanted that for her, and wanted to do that with her. You know.
She was a great songwriter. Always such a variety of different styles, and they all, you know, she was good at all of them. I really enjoyed being able to switch from like a tango to a country song to whatever.
So I think what also really impressed me about her was that she was motivated by what she was listening to at the moment. So, you know, there were two songs that was kind of out of what she had done before, but it was because she was listening to a Radiohead album. And I'm not sure she ever bought it, but she was listening to it on YouTube, or, you know, but so she would get into a certain song or get into a certain vein, listening to Tom Waits, and that would be a song that sounds like Tom Waits, but it's her, you know, or there's a song that sounds like a surf rock song, but it's her. And then maybe I think what we were perhaps able to add was maybe we kind of gave her some ideas on how to maybe arrange this or have this song sound different than this song or that. But you know, she was always, you know, maybe she was always kind of asking us like what we thought about things. And I remember like for like Anything at All, you know, one of her greatest songs, she was like, that came together as the last song on that record, and she was just she was like, remember she wrote me an email, she's like, hey, should we include this one in there? And I'm like of course you need to have that one, it's a great song. And everything kind of came together organically. So that maybe that was the fun part with her playing, and that even though our gigs were $25, you know, and at the cinema bar, or, you know, I mean, we definitely had some other fun gigs as well, but it was about the hang, you know, it was about the hang and her music, and it was always joyful to kind of be a part.
Sounds great.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I love it.
Anytime. Ready, everybody?
You just need go-go dancers on this one.
There you go, Victoria.
You know some.
Oh, yeah, I'm willing.
This can be your retirement check, ma'am. This
song alone
is so TV. So,
yeah.
Right.
Ready, guys? Yes?
Yeah.
Rolling.
like keep that initial lick going through the entire guitar solo, and then just add
Do something on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like the multi-track.
Okay. I hear you can do that now.
Yeah.
You can record.
And then if you're feeling better, go what? Triple track. Get a Bach view going.
Did you have to know how long that was in time? Did you spin one?
Excuse me?
Do you know how long that was, that little take?
Yeah, average. Yeah, give me a second. Yeah, that was around almost 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Very close to 2 minutes.
Do you think we should loop the A-B again? Like maybe after your drum break? How about if the first thing, everything we did up until the drum break, what if we do that twice?
Okay.
So you get 2 of those breaks.
Okay.
That'll add like a minute, and then we're looking at like a 3-minute track.
Okay.
Overall, it's kind of it's a great experience to go through playing her music, and just interesting to see how one is to see like how many people cared about Dafni. You know, we all wanted to be a part of this. You know, I remember at her service, you know, we were sitting in the backyard, you know, and Alfonso kind of came up to me. He's like, "Yeah, this is I really want to do something like this, you know, to do a record and do her songs." And I think so I'm glad that everything came together with that. I think what's maybe impressed me the most was that everybody's so willing to give their time to do it, and they just want to be a part of it. Like, it was never questioned, you know, never questioned at all. And it was fun, you know. I think it was great to see Josh again. After Josh moved to San Francisco, we haven't seen him as much, you know. But there's many times we hung out in San Luis Obispo or Edie, you know. It was almost like what it was a document of her birthday show last year, you know. It was a document of that, and that birthday show was it was just such a, I think it was such a beautiful experience because everyone was there for like however long, 8 hours.
I was there for, I think, something like 11 hours.
11 hours. Yeah, I think I got there at 3 and I left around like
time.
11. Yeah, I was on my feet the entire time. No place to stand in the General Bar. But it was almost like that night in a recording studio. You had everybody that was a part of it. People wanted to, you know, celebrate her music. But also, you know, I was talking to Alfonso about this, is that it shows the mark of Dafni as a songwriter, you know. And I always thought I wish we could have done more with that last record that we had. You know, I thought that was the best one. I was so happy with it. Great production. It was perfect. You know, it was great. Everything, all of it. It celebrated her songs, different types of songs, and but this maybe is our way to celebrate that. We celebrate her songs, so you know, we can make those live on with other people. You know, as you celebrate someone's life, and also too, each person singing that song, I think, made it sound like it was their song. You know, which is another tremendous thing for Dafni as well, is that she could write a song, almost like kind of like, you know, you hear Bob Dylan or Paul Simon when they do something. You know, when you hear somebody covering that, like Garth Brooks did a great version of a Bob Dylan song, you know, and but it was a hit because it sounded like Garth Brooks wrote it, you know. So I think that with Dafni, that's maybe what you're able to see with this project.
It's been a little hit factory, you know. You got the rhythm section in there, and technically, I thought it went really smooth. You know, everybody was prepared, and even when we weren't prepared, we just kind of came up with what we could to honor Dafni's music. And because of her great songwriting and arranging skills, most of the songs honestly just played themselves. And sometimes we would try to adjust things in the studio, and then it'd be like, wait a minute, why don't we just do it the way Dafni would have done it? And it always sounded better that way. So, yeah, it was a very, very, and also I think it was just part of the healing process to go through, you know, maybe complete because I always felt like, man, we were getting better as musicians. We were good live, but I don't think we ever made like really great studio albums with Dafni. But we were making one at the time of her death. But you know, we were young, and I think we were just trying to be purists, and we didn't really understand the whole technological side of recording an album. There's a lot of that. Now I feel like we've actually grown, and we've all gotten much better at being studio musicians, which is a whole different skill than playing live, because we all were like live performers. So I think this is going to be actually such a great studio album of Dafni's music. Maybe, you know, you know, all of her songs are great. You know, we've recorded live. It's great to hear with Dafni's own voice and her playing, obviously. But it's just, yeah, I think we've just grown, so we can present those songs now, just in almost like a. They've grown. We've grown since we've grown as musicians. You know, it's got that polished sound now.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is like some of these are like definitive versions of the
Yeah,
songs now.
maybe.
I
I
mean,
mean,
unfortunately, that Dafni doesn't do the definitive, but I feel some of these are like so much
It's just
better. It just feels.
It's like it's hard to even say that, because it's like, I don't know. Sometimes like you hear a songwriter like Joe Beam or something, and you've heard everybody's versions of Joe Beam's songs, which are so wonderful, and then you go back and you hear Joe Beam playing his own songs, and you're like, wow, that's the songwriter, and he's actually playing it, and that's got a lot of, and then you're so close to the source, and you really feel that. So so this recording will never overshadow Dafni's recordings, but it is polished, and with, you know, it's got that more polished thing. But I think that was part of Dafni's personality, was she was so pure, and coming from such a genuine place, where she didn't want to play to a click track, or she didn't want to do overdubs, or she just wanted to like make it simple and play the song and the melody and with her band, and so that's what we did with those other recordings, and this one's a little bit more polished, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I think it's sounding really good. I'm blown away how good this record sounds.
It's gonna be nice.
I mean, already just these rough mixes, they sound pretty much good enough, right?
It's
to release
so
them.
great, so great.
You can tell about a song. I think maybe I don't know how many of her songs are totally autobiographical, but I'd say there's a lot that are about her experiences, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I think maybe like art and music is. I mean, it's a humanity. You know, it teaches us about ourselves, our fears, celebrations. Teaches us about how to deal with life. You know, and I think a lot of Dafni songs are about dealing with life. You know, love, loss, and you have certain themes or qualities. You can, you know. I mean, you can always interpret them different ways by songwriter, by whoever is singing a song. So, but I do think that you do see what Dafni was maybe thinking about, but you maybe hear it from another person's perspective too, and you're and see how they can, you know, inflect on it too. So, I guess maybe what I'm trying to say is, it sounds like it's their version, but also it sounds like. I just keep on hearing Dafni, you know. So maybe it's both.
Turned out.
I think it went really well. You know, it was a big effort on your part to get all these people together, principally on one weekend. You know, many people did stuff separately and in other studios and stuff,
Right.
but I think we did 10 or 11 tracks, basic tracks, in 2 days. So that was a really big deal. So I got to play on many songs, and I mostly played scratch tracks in the studio because I didn't want to distract. We had the bass and the guitar and the drum set all in one room for a lot of it, and so I wanted to kind of think about my parts a little bit. So I wound up doing a lot of my parts in my home studio and then sending them into Alf, and then he mixed everything together.
How do you think it turned out? You
I
happy
thought
with
it
the
turned out really
performance?
well, yeah. I played, mostly I played electric, but on a couple tunes I played a banjo, an acoustic guitar, and a guitar that was strung like a baritone, so it was about a fourth lower. So that was pretty cool, and I thought it was interesting that Alf took some of the scratch tracks that I did just as kind of a placeholder in the studio, and he took some of them and mixed them with the final ones that I did. to kind of add like texture and layer and stuff. So that was kind of interesting when I heard the final thing. He kind of combined that. I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah, I'm very happy with how that all turned out.
It's a very professional sounding record.
Yeah, it's good. I think some of these versions, they're so much better recorded than Dafni's versions. Do you feel the same way about that?
The sonic quality is very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Songs you played on for this project? Any comments about the songs and the recordings and stuff?
Let's Pretend is sort of tango kind of thing. I've always really liked that one. And then Dimes is a classic Dafni song that here when I was listening, after you told me what songs you were doing, I went back and listened to Dimes. I'd forgotten that I'd played such a prominent role in that song.
It's pretty accordion heavy.
Yeah.
I
didn't remember that.
Fun, I didn't remember it by name when you suggested that we do instrumental of Daphne's.
I don't think she ever shared it with anyone.
I'm feeling like
you think you might have heard that before?
Maybe we even tried it on a gig once.
I don't think so. I don't think she was ever happy with that as a final piece. But maybe at a rehearsal or something. Maybe I wasn't there. I don't know.
But it was fun to work on, and I wound up taking. She sung the demo that you gave us to listen to, so I took those parts and made them the guitar melodies. So that was... fun. To
Yeah.
do. I just hear it come together. Mark does some really fun drum fills on it, you know. So it packs a punch for a small little tune,
That's
2.5 minutes long.
Yeah, I'm amazed how it turned out.
Yeah.
Because you guys, I don't think you guys really had listened to the demo, maybe, or you probably did to get the melody.
I listened to it a little bit just to get a
Yeah.
reference,
But pretty much it just came together in the studio. It was amazing. Like you got it done in an hour or something.
yeah, it was
From
very,
nothing to something that
very
sounded
quick, yeah.
amazingly
quick
professional.
arrangement, and then boom, you know, a couple of takes.
I think I filmed almost every one of your takes. So I thought this was going to be the final one, and I'll have
Yeah.
I can sync it up to the final. But so I've got probably 12 different takes of it
Okay.
I've recorded.
So you have a lot of room in the
So I'm
edit.
going to edit.
A lot of time in the editing bay still.
Yeah. So that was really an enjoyable moment
Yeah.
of the whole project, having that. Plus, I always liked that tune, and I always wished Dafni would do something with it. So
Yeah.
I finally got to my reward, perhaps.
Right,
I think that's beautiful. Kind of sounds very Allman Brothers and Hawaii 5-0 and all kinds of little
A lot of different
little inputs there.
influences, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, over the time, I just remember the rehearsals. I remember the hang. I remember the music. I mean, there was a busy period. We probably played quite a lot, you know, between maybe 2005, well, probably like around 2000, maybe around 2006 to like maybe 2010 or 2011, maybe 2011.
2010 was when the last album came out.
Yeah. So I think we did some stuff maybe through 2010, 2011 maybe, but
Yeah, it was a pretty hectic period.
yeah.
Lots of shows.
Lots of shows. So, yeah, I mean, I guess just I always thought of Dafni as just a good, you know, really good person, and just a great person just, you know, have in your life. You probably unfortunately appreciate it more when, unfortunately, they're gone, you know, but because life gets in the way, you know, and, you know, with our group, you know, we had kids and things got in the way, you know, with shows or, you know, but I think we were all really appreciative of the time that we had and the music, and you know, I think maybe we wish that we had more looking back at it, but you know, sometimes it doesn't always work out that way, but you know, but I'd say overall, you know, just what an experience to work with her, you know, and just to know her as a friend and a person, and as a musician and as a songwriter, and then just seeing how many people felt the same way too, you know, how many people came to see her in the hospital, or how many people came to the show, you know, or how many people came to this recording and wanted to be involved in that. But it was something that everybody wanted to do it without even asking, you know, and I think that's a testament to her and her as a person. So maybe that, you know, we miss her. She's a lovely person, but she was also the type of person that affected our lives, where we can talk about her, you know, and maybe pass on stories or pass on songs or pass on the way she made us feel, you know, and treat other people the same way as well. So perhaps that's ultimately her gift to her.
We always had a fun time. It was always, you know, we would plan on rehearsing for a couple hours. You know, we'd end up she'd cook dinner, you know, every time, and always with the Beck's beer or whatever. So, I mean, I just think of all the fun times we had. It was always, our relationship was always revolves around music, and a lot of my relationships with people, I've come to realize it's, you know, it's harder for me to keep in touch with people, even though if they were friends in the past, if they're not involved in music in the current time. Like I've had friends that are, you know, that played music before, now they don't play music, and it's like harder to keep in touch with them. So with Dafni, it was always about the music, and because she was such a dedicated, prolific songwriter, that's what brought us all together, and we were able to form a relationship around that, which is really a really tight bond. Like when you're in a band, you just become family, and especially if you're recording together and playing a lot. And but it was always good times. I mean, I have stories that I can't say on camera.
You know, it's hard to pick a favorite song because she had so many really good ones. I was impressed that, well, one, you know, people came to see her more than once. So it's always great when you're playing a show and people know the words. People in the
Uh-huh.
audience are singing along. That was kind of neat, and they're singing Daphne's lyrics along with her. So that was neat. And there were a couple times where we played sort of outside of the comfort zone. We played at this place we'd never played before, and that's always interesting to see how people respond. Maybe none of your friends showed up. You're
Right.
really playing to a room full of strangers. I think when we played here at the farmers market, it was mostly not people
Right.
from Daphne's world.
Yeah.
And I remember this being a really good show. I remember people really sticking around, and there's a lot of distractions here, a lot of things
Yeah.
for people to look at. And I remember a group of people gathering and like, no, let's stick around and hear this. So I think she definitely kind of drew people in as an artist,
Yeah.
and people got excited about it. They seemed to buy CDs,
Yeah. The little kids used to like it here too, I remember.
Kids liked
She
it,
always
yeah.
was a big
Yeah,
favorite
yeah.
of the kids.
Yeah. I remember that she was generally rather modest about her science achievements.
Uh-huh.
She didn't really talk a lot about her work at UCLA, but obviously very, very accomplished in that area. And I think she kind of liked to keep those things separate. I think, for so much of us, the day job competes with the music a lot, and that was certainly the case with her, But I was kind of always impressed by it. I think, somebody hearing the songs could think, well, there's a sweet folk singer, and not realize that, this person has a doctorate, works at one of the leading research facilities in the world in her field, I always thought that was a nice quality. She's very low-key about those accomplishments. And she was pretty low-key about her music accomplishments, too. But I just thought that was quite a portfolio of skills that she did.
All right.
She's always had so much energy. Unbelievable. Not how I am.
You're good, man. No,
Yeah, Mark. That was cool. That was a lot of fun. Glad I got to come down and play a little bit.
It's good to have the band back together.
Yeah, everything sounded amazing. Geoff and Mark and Peter are really good.
Of course, I miss her like you. Everybody really misses her, and I think the world would have been better if she stayed a lot longer and made a lot more records and eventually got to tour the world, and I would have liked to have been part of that. Sorry that didn't get to happen.
Yeah, it's a pity, but hopefully this record people will watch these videos and be inspired to check out the record and
I hope so too.
hear the other songs and check out the other artists, and everyone can
Exactly.
everyone can benefit.
Yeah.
All right.
The most fun we always had was Dimes, I gotta say. Yeah. I used to love watching Geoff slap the bass, and we would by that time of the night we'd be pretty sloppy, in a good way, and but the crowd always loved that one, and yeah, it was just put a tap in your toe and a smile on your face. That was always the one that would stick out. I think a lot of people say that. I think.
Oh yeah, that's like the one that everyone knows and everyone loves about it.
It's a good one. But a lot of the other ones took on a different tone, more melancholy. Sweet Time, beautiful song. Especially on the recording, Mike Bulger really helped set the mood with what he played on the piano on that one and the horn. I just like that. I like that song as another end of the spectrum, because her music could touch so many different elements, from jazz to Latin music and country, Americana. So there's a whole spectrum of emotions. So it depends on what mood you're in, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I like them all. I mean, One Day was really cool to do today. I think Dimes was really fun to do. I think we sounded really good on Dimes. So I hope that turns out okay. And,
We played it enough times.
Yeah,
so.
we played it enough times. Yeah, I mean, other songs I didn't get a chance to play on, always loved. I mean, maybe we did this one. I always loved How I Wish. Sweet Time is beautiful.
Song.
Favorite songs, okay.
Runaway.
Yeah,
One Day.
that's it. Yeah, Runaway, One Day. Loved Anything at All. Loved Sweet Time. Loved How I Wish. Loved Oh My Sweet Lord. What's that song?
Save Me.
Save Me, yeah.
That was a good one with
That was a
Jamie
good
Shuey.
with
Did
Jamie.
that one?
Yeah, we did. Walking Out the Door, Dimes, of course. So all those songs are fun songs. I mean, really, I'll always love Dafni's ballad. I think maybe that's her, maybe her Greek romantic influence, but she loved sad, melancholy ballads. But she sang them so well. Maybe that's what's just going back and appreciating those as well. So I'd say I don't know. Maybe I think of all the rehearsals. I think of the time working out songs. I think of the shows. I think we always try to make her sound really good. In her shows, and make her maybe where she wasn't as confident in some areas, we would try to push her so she could be confident. But I always just remember her smile, her demeanor, her she's always very intelligent. She can speak very well. I just loved the fun. Maybe the things that I probably think of the most are the rehearsals, or the getting together with Greek Easter, or the shows. They all kind of sometimes run together. It's usually, and the recording. I'd say I really loved being a part of. I love being a part of both recordings that we did, with her, and it was fun. Each one was different. The first, I think with Dafni too. We did like the record we did with Charlie. We recorded that thing in like really a day, and we did 18 songs. And I've never done that many songs in one day. And I remember my hand like hurt for a week. It was sore. It's never been like that since. It physically hurt for a week, so I remember. That's what I remember. I think that I remember the hang. I remember the trips to San Luis Obispo, and maybe it was like $100 to go to San Luis Obispo. I remember. I just remember the hang. I remember hanging out at crashing at the house afterwards of her friends. I remember just going to like the show. Let's say just like the shows and the little trips. That's what I remember the most about her, and just the experiences and the conversations.
Yeah, I really just feel like she was just, like I said, like a pure, genuine soul without a care for. I think she had her dreams to it was almost like we would joke about, you know, this is the one song that could be on Conan O'Brien,
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
you know, like this is the most commercial, you know, whatever. But it was almost like ironic to say that. It was like, you know, that might have been a dream, but it was more about the moment of just being together and playing. And I think that was the greatest experience of being in a band with Dafni, because it wasn't about like trying to make money or trying to be impressive, or, you know, there was no ego really. I can honestly say that it was more just these songs were there that she had written, and we had a good time performing them. And that's kind of I think that's also rare, because a lot of people just, you know, they're in LA, they want to go after the television and movies and, you know, publishing and all that stuff. But yeah, I think so her music was a reflection of her as a person, which was just, and the way she put it together.
Right on, guys.